Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Remette RT Eligo. This is the non-locking version, the double detent version. You can see here I'm just overcoming the detent, kicking it down into place. But there does in fact exist a locking version, and the link in the description will actually take you to both. There's a bunch of different colors, locking and non-locking, so you guys can check out whatever version you want. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me, and make sure your notifications are turned on for the Metal Complex YouTube channel. They did actually intend to send me one locking and one non-locking, but they sent me two non-locking by mistake. So perhaps in the future we'll get a locking version, but it's, as you would imagine, a locking version of the same knife. I believe it's a liner lock. This knife, either way, whether you go with the locking or the non-locking version, actually has a cool trick. And we're going to talk more about it later, but essentially you pull down right here and you'll feel a little click and a release, and then you can move the pocket clip up and out of its position there. You can actually see that this, once you push down, the pocket clip will seat and lock into place. So you do have to pull back on this to get it to release. This can then be flipped over for, lefty carry or whatever. But beyond that, what I'm going to do is use my index fingers to move this scale that way and use my thumbs to move the front scale this way. You slide here and it releases the scale and allows you to get to the internals. They advertise this as toolless disassembly. It's a toolless way to get to the hardware so that you can then adjust it and fully disassemble it if you want to. So that's what we're looking at there. That's how you do that. And then to get it back, to get everything back into place, you push this here. Like you can see the little pockets right there for the pockets for the housing for the screws. Push here, and then what you're going to do is slide it up and back into place until those scales are perfectly level with each other. And then, of course, once you get the pocket clip where you want it, push down, and it clicks into place and will not come back out unless you put the appropriate amount of force on this backspacer back here. This is cool, and we're going to talk more about this system, and I'm going to give you guys some things to think about when you're looking at this knife. But let's go ahead and do specs. So the overall length of the RT Eligo is coming in at about, it's 6.75 inches. Blade length is coming in at exactly 3. I think it probably would have been a better idea to make the blade slightly shorter because of some of the laws in certain areas, right? But I don't know how common it is for, I think it's mostly something that we see in Europe, for the laws to be, it can't lock and it has to be, only so short. So maybe I'm wrong there. I know that there are some laws in the United States, like it can lock, but it can't be longer. It can't be 3 inches or longer. It has to be 2.9 inches or shorter. So my suggestion might be kind of trivial there, but that's what you're looking at for blade length. The overall length of the blade is 3 inches, and your cutting edge is about 2.75. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and Others. So up against my own full-size Excalibur, and then let's also put it up against the Shark Cub from Demco. Very close to the overall size of the Shark Cub, just much more slender. Let's go ahead and put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or, yeah, we'll do that for it's just fine. Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca, obviously quite a bit smaller still. And then finally, I know a little out of order today, the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. So, how is the action on this guy? It's actually pretty good. I mean, this is all I have is the non-locking version, but the detent in the closed position and using the only means of deployment, which is the top flipper here, there's a little bit of jimping on the top, and honestly, it works perfectly. I'm really glad that they decided to not do a frame lock with this. On a super narrow frame, in my opinion, a frame lock is just a terrible idea, because if you put pressure on the lock bar, you're pushing that detent ball further into that detent hole, and it makes it harder to break the detent. And so with a frame lock, you have to keep your fingers off of the frame. Well, that's typically easy to do because most frame lock knives have a wide enough frame you can find another place. On a knife like this, not a lot of room. So in my opinion, these should always be liner locks or something else, right, where your fingers cannot put additional pressure on the locking system. But it's got a nice snap into the open position. The actual pivot action with this being a double detent knife, I mean, it feels pretty tight. This isn't like a drop shutty knife or anything like that, but especially on the non-locking version, it's not really an opportunity to do that. Most people are going to figure out exactly where to apply pressure, which for me, it's about right here. And they're going to figure out how to break the detent and sort of reverse deploy it. And there we go. And you're kicking it down into the closed position. And once you have figured this out and played with it enough, with a knife like this, you'll figure out exactly where to push and exactly how much pressure to apply to get it to do that every time. In fact, I'm actually figuring it out as we speak. 2 in a row. Can we go for 3? Yes, we can. So the point is actually a little bit higher for me. It's up here. Oh, we had 3 in a row and it bounced back out. That's something you're probably going to deal with on a double detent knife. You know, it's going to bounce back out every now and then, or you're not going to apply enough pressure like that. But over time, you'll figure it out and be able to do it probably almost every time. Either way, it's very, very convenient to both deploy and put away once you figure it out. I don't think the vast majority of people are going to have an issue. They made the handle long enough, and I think it's kind of like common sense to figure out how to manipulate it. Just make sure your fingers are out of the way. Nothing about this makes me feel like, oh, I'm going to drop it, or oh, I feel like I'm going to cut myself. No, actually, the entire thing feels pretty good. Just make sure your fingers, like especially this finger, is out of the way. So, carry profile, thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. This is at its thickest, almost as thick as the Para 3, but not quite. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. This thing absolutely does disappear in the pocket. It's not credit card thin, but it is so small and compact. This is the type of knife that I feel like makes a lot more sense for, you know, like formal events or office carry, as long as it's allowed, right? But more of like your casual light duty pocket knife that would go into the pocket of something that might be more slim fitting. Whether you are a guy or a gal, doesn't really matter. This is a really, really easy object to carry. And I don't know, I think some people might have preferred something like this without a pocket clip. I rarely say that, but some people might have preferred it that way. I mean, the pocket clip does need to stay on in order to prevent the scale from accidentally slipping down and, you know, falling off. So if you took the pocket clip off, there is a little bit of pressure that's holding that scale on, but really it's the fact that the pocket clip is locking into place that's keeping everything together. So I still think most people would prefer to, you know, have the pocket clip on there, but very easy knife to carry. Weight. What are we looking at for materials? This is, I believe it's M390. Sometimes it's 20 CV. But for the blade steel, M390, and then we have titanium and obviously some steel components. Your weight is almost certainly no more than about 2.5 ounces. Let's find out. Oh, that's fluid ounces. The total weight on this guy coming in at, it's 2.3 ounces. So a very good blade length to weight ratio, and your balance a little bit back of the pivot, but at 2.3 ounces, you're not going to notice or care. It's just not going to matter. The hardware on the inside, without taking the rest of this off, and I'm gonna talk about this again, but you probably noticed there it's T6. Even though it's underneath, the hardware being underneath the scale doesn't really excuse that. Everything should be T8. Like it's not like impossible to disassemble. It's just that much more likely that it's going to strip, or the bit is going to, you know, the little teeth are gonna strip out. And yes, even if you buy super high quality stuff like Wea or Wera, the smaller the material, right, the more likely that something like that is to happen. So I would prefer that instead of arguing over, you know, the highest quality bits or, you know, proper use and care, instead, why don't we just use T8 and up? Because in my experience, you're just way less likely for anything bad to happen with the hardware or the bits if it's T8 or bigger. So, but it's, you know, not impossible to disassemble. So as long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. Let's measure the blade stock thickness, and then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes, because I do have a lot that I want to talk about here. Your blade stock thickness is 104 thousandths, so definitely on the thinner side. So, This is pretty straightforward, and yes, the edge is pretty thick because the blade profile. I mean, it is such a narrow profile. It's not very tall, so there's not a lot of room for this to taper down to a meaningfully thin edge, but it's thin enough that it'll cut and slice. This is not the type of item that is like a professional use item. This is a casual use, get it out and open a letter, get it out and open a package kind of thing. That's what it is. So, even though the blade is not going to be the most efficient at slicing or anything like that, it'll do the job. This is a Tanto, so on this one you're gonna be sharpening two separate edges. I think obviously drop point or something with a continuous belly would be more beneficial for the vast majority of people, but with this one you're going to be sharpening two separate edges. It's pretty easy to hang on to. I mean, there's nothing really guarding your finger here, so you do need to watch that. But most of the time, you're not going to be hammer gripping it and like shoving it in. You're probably not going to use this to break down cardboard boxes. This is more of like something that you use really like something you use at your desk to open a letter, or something that you just are. I mean, if you know that throughout the day you are very, very likely to only need a pocket knife for the most casual of tasks, right? Cutting a loose thread or something, that's what this is going to do. So I don't necessarily need it to have the most optimized geometry, though that is a lot more important to some people. Let me go over because ergonomically it's fine. It's exactly what you'd think. There's no real hot spots, but it's also just like a long, thin handle that's been chamfered at the edges. It does have a really cool, modern, sort of minimalist look without being obnoxiously minimalist, and it's just like, long rectangle meets long triangle. I can't stand that. There's way too much out there that looks the same. So it does look cool. It's nice and sleek and modern, and I appreciate that. They also have a bunch of different colors, and that's nice too. The fit and finish is really good. It's Remette. They do a really good job. Here's my issue with this knife. At the beginning, when I pulled everything out, it looked like, oh, it's super simple. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't have that pocket clip pushed in all the way. I had it pushed in like 80% of the way. And the reason is that once it's all the way in, this is really freaking hard to release. I mean, it is so hard to release that I actually bend my fingernails backward before this thing wants to come out. The reality of it is, and it's on both of the ones that I got, the reality of it is that this little thing here that's designed to lift up, I have to use another tool to get it to release, because it just does not. I mean, even now, I mean, the pocket clip is still, at this moment, fighting me. There we go. I had to really... they need to calm this thing down. You're going to break your fingernails trying to get that to release. Once you have that off, it's really not that hard to slide the scale. But this is just too much. It's way too much. There needs to be an easier way. This is a cool system, and honestly... I'm going to expand on this. It's cool that there's like a lever and you release the pocket clip, and then once the pocket clip comes off, then you can slide the scale, right? But the amount of effort to get this, I mean, it is crazy. You really, like, I have to pry, there we go. I can pry up with this little tiny steel blade and then push it off. But it's just too much, right? I'll show you guys here. Click. There's not, this entire piece should probably be sticking up a little bit more so that the leverage that you get counts for more. You're having to use such a small portion of your fingernail, and the amount of force required is too much. It'll overcome that little sliver of fingernail. So the backspacer or whatever it is that you need to pull on needs to be raised. It still needs to be done in a way where it's not easy for something to accidentally get in there and, like, loosen it. But I think there's other ways, like just making the end of this like a different shape so it's just easier to get a hold of. That's all that really needs to happen. The other thing that's a little bit weird is, the idea here is toolless disassembly until you get to the part where you need a tool to disassemble it. So, a lot of people say, oh, you can bypass all this by just having the hardware show on the exterior and we don't have to bother with any of this, and then you just take it apart. Sure, but then you can see the hardware. So the idea here was clearly to hide the hardware and make it to where you don't need tools to get to the hardware. I think it would be infinitely cooler if the entire thing essentially was able to be taken apart, maybe except for the pivot. I don't know. They probably could do it to where even the pivot, like they've got everything, like the tolerances are all perfect, and what's holding the pivot in is, you know, like maybe underneath on the pivot, instead of it having a head for a Torx, maybe the edges of the pivot head are coined so that you can use the you know, the little ridges to get traction, sort of unscrew it or whatever. And what's holding it in place is not necessarily, you know, a crazy tight pivot, but really just the scale sitting on top of it. I think this would have been infinitely cooler if the entire knife was held together with the locked pocket clip and the scale sliding into position, and then once you take it off, then everything sort of just comes apart. That would have been really cool. It's a little underwhelming that you get in there and you're like, oh, you do still need a tool. It's not really that big of a deal. I think a lot of people would go, no, I still want it all held down, you know, with hardware that requires a tool, right? So there's probably going to be some differing opinions there, but this doesn't make it a whole lot different than from some other systems that I've seen, but it's still interesting. Mainly, whether they decide to make the internals still, you know, like they still need a Torx head in order to disassemble, fine. The one thing that absolutely does need to change is this part. It's too tight. It takes too much force, right? I can get it, but most of the time I get to that point where I'm like, it's going to rip my fingernail off. It's just too much. That's really all there is to it. The rest of it's fine. There's no side-to-side blade play. It's a Remette, so I'm sure that the locking one doesn't have any blade play. This does and has remained. It does have perfect centering, and it's remained that way, so that's good. None of the other parts move. There's no wiggle or rattle or anything like that. It's fine. Everything feels great. What's the final price tag? Unfortunately, it's $200. It just feels like a lot for what this is. I mean, I think it would. This is the type of thing that I think they probably should have used. Like maybe keep the premium blade steel, but maybe use a different. Like, can it be done with a different scale material so that it's not so expensive? That or I mean, I think the price just needs to be lower. If this had a much easier to remove pocket clip, and the price was, say, $160, $170, I would have been like, this is pretty sweet. Like, this is pretty cool. But the price combined with the really difficult disassembly feature just makes it not super appealing. I feel like that there's a lot here that could appeal to certain people. They just didn't quite get there. So if they can't get it lower in full titanium, then I would say consider a different material. Maybe do this in aluminum. You know, maybe do another batch of these where you have aluminum or aluminum and S35VN, right? Easier to remove pocket clip. And then maybe the price, you know, maybe the price comes down to something like, you know, $120, $130 or something like that. I think that a lot more people would be super interested. But at $200, and you basically still need something else to remove that clip, it's just kind of missing the mark for me. So it's made well and it's neat. It's just not something that I'm super excited about. So anyways, I'll still have it linked so you guys can check it out if you want to, but that's going to be it for me today. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do of course have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.